Square, let's go. I heard that we here in the Howard Square, let's go. I heard that we here in the Times Square, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Hello and welcome to the MKH Podcast. I am your host, Maximillian Hill, and today we have two very special guests. Danielle Dietzek and Julie Griggs are the co-founders of Fourplay Social, a social discovery app that pairs single friends with other pairs of single friends for a more interesting and fun dating experience. Danielle, Julie, thanks for coming on the MKH Podcast. How are you today?
We're good. Thank you so much for having us. We're excited.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm also super impressed by that introduction because most people do not get Danielle Dietzek's last name correct.
Yeah,
And
bravo.
I'm very impressed. That was well done.
Yes. I got to do my preparation, you know? Got to come prepared, especially
Kills
when
it.
you're dealing with two dynamic founders. We met at the offices of Microsoft in Midtown Manhattan a couple weeks ago, I believe.
Yep.
At a pitch night. And I was very impressed with Julie was the one pitching that night and was very impressed with her presentation. I think I love the idea of Fourplay Social. So why don't you guys tell me a little bit about Fourplay Social?
Well, thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate it. I was very nervous pitching, so I'm glad that it was well received. Just some background on, I think, who Danielle and I are as people and founders is the most important. So Danielle and I have been best friends for 15 years. We met at Penn State. She's a grade ahead of me, which keeps me young. I love that I'm a year behind her.
She loves
I
that.
love it. I love it. And after college, we both went into healthcare. So Danielle is a nurse and a nurse practitioner. I'm a physician assistant. And I think unlike most entrepreneurs, we were not trying to start a business. It was very much a happy accident. We were just genuinely solving our own problem. And in doing so, quickly realized that a lot of singles could relate to us and had the same pain points, which is basically that the dating apps have ruined the experience of being single for us by making it lonelier than ever. Though their goal is for connection, we actually feel more socially disconnected than ever before. Not helping. Didn't help that we had the global pandemic. It puts a lot of pressure on singles to present themselves, perfectly on a dating app, and worst of all, poses legitimate safety risks. Meeting strangers by yourself. And so Danielle and I thought it'd be more fun to team up and do it together. And with that, Fourplay Social was born.
That's awesome. I always love hearing founders who solve their own problem. And I do agree with you that I think some of the most successful people I know that are in entrepreneurship weren't trying to start a business. It just kind of came together, right? And it's just weird how that works. Like if you're really trying hard to do something, you're chasing something, a lot of times it eludes you. But if you just let it happen naturally, I think different outcome very, pretty frequently. So that's awesome. So you guys friends for many years at Penn State. That's terrific. Who came up with the idea?
So it was kind of a shared effort because initially what the idea was to go on double dates in the city, and we were using another dating app to do that. So together we decided that we would create a shared profile and that we would answer all of the prompts so that we could find double dates. So swipe right if you have an awesome friend and you want to go out with me and my awesome friend. So we were sharing this dating profile together. So it was very much a shared ideation. And from there, we had such a positive experience and we were getting so much feedback from men that they really loved this idea and that it was a game changer, that it was Julie who initially, with a lot of encouragement from her family, she was like, we have to make this an app. Her family kept saying, if you don't do this now, someone else is going to do it. You have to be the one to do it. So she came to me and she said, should we start a business? And I was like, I don't think I want to start a business. I'm a nurse. I have no interest in starting a business. And it took a lot of irking and encouragement from her family. But ultimately, when her brother came up with the name Fourplay, I was sold. I knew it would be a success with such a provocative name. And so we decided to take the first step and start Fourplay.
I love foreplay.
I love foreplay too.
And that is why we named it Fourplay, because it is just such clickbait. It's such clickbait, and it's so easy to make a joke out of it.
I don't even know if you know this, Danielle, but when Max and I met at the pitch event and I gave my pitch, and then afterwards, the panel of VCs, they were critiquing it, and one of the VCs said, "So I love foreplay."
Yes.
And then I said, "I also love foreplay." And then some guy in the audience was like, "Ow, ow," which is why,
It wasn't me.
But it's like, what we were talking about before we started, recording, Max, is like, especially in today's world, you need to be an attention grabber. And so while some people may be like, "Ooh, that's too provocative for me. I'm not going to touch that." Most people are like, the name is genius. It's such good clickbait. It's so interesting. It's so different. And so our favorite part is the name.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's not clickbait. It's strategic.
Yeah.
And I mean, people complain about clickbait all the time for whatever reason, probably because they couldn't come up with a good enough idea for something that got clicked on. But we do live in an attention economy, and these days you have to cut through the noise. I think social media is definitely something you have to embrace. It's like a double-edged sword, right?
Definitely.
It has positives and its negatives, but really, really difficult to, I guess, building a brand is a necessity, I think. And if you can't grab people's attention, even if you're not an entrepreneur or business owner, let's say you're just looking for a better job, you're going to get lost in the noise. So I love it. I think it's a brilliant idea. So Julie, I was very impressed with your pitch. And one of the things that I have tried to improve since the pandemic was my public speaking, because I guess pre-pandemic, I really struggled with it. In a work setting. Outside of work, I didn't struggle with it, but in the work setting, I did for whatever reason. And so I joined Toastmasters, right? And then since then, I've done comedy in front of like hundreds of people. So
Hell yeah, that's amazing.
one of the things that I always ask, especially if it's a founder that I saw pitch, I always ask, what are some tips for public speaking?
Wow, great question. My dad did Toastmasters, and he's a great orator now and good public speaker. So that's awesome. And funny enough, you saw me pitch, but Danielle back in the day at Penn State actually won the award for best public speaker. So she would put me to shame if she gave our pitch.
Well, I will say I get very, very nervous. So, and sometimes when I get nervous, I start saying things that don't make any sense. And it's not just in my head, because Julie will like grab me and she'll be like, shh. So she it's appropriate that she's giving the pitches.
I will say tips that I have. I think that one of my strengths, and this isn't blanket advice, right? Because it's not going to work for everybody. But I think one of my advantages in business is that I have a very fun brand, which goes along very organically with my personality, which is, I am a very serious, hard worker, but I love to have fun, love to laugh, love to joke around, and I love to be self-deprecating. And so when I get up to pitch, I basically just tell myself, don't be like everybody else, because I'm going to not be memorable that way. Yes. Be exactly who I am. And people are either going to love it or they're going to hate it, but they will have a strong reaction either way. And so I will not be like everybody else who is getting up to pitch. And so, after the pitch, actually, an entrepreneur came up to me and said, "How do you remain so yourself when you're pitching?" And I said that. I was like, I can't care what people think.
Correct.
I just have to be exactly who I am. What you see is what you get. And I think a lot of people try to fit the mold of like the black turtleneck.
I know. They're just like wannabe Jobses. It's so
yeah.
I worked for somebody like that in my first office job. The worst boss I ever had. And because you hit on a great thing. You have to be authentic.
Yes.
It's not just when you're public speaking, but if you ever worked in sales, which you're founders, so you work in sales.
Right.
Right.
That's the other thing. People don't realize entrepreneurs are salespeople. Even if a nurse or an engineer, you are a salesperson.
Correct.
And what I've learned, even in sales, you have to be different, because if people think you're just out to reach into their pocket, right? You won't be. You'll turn people off, and you have to be memorable. I thought you were very natural, uh, and it came across very, very good, very well.
Thank you.
She definitely is so good at pitching because it's a real idea that was, it came about before foreplay ever happened. Like the idea to go on double dates and the problems and the solution, like all of that is very formulaic, but in a pitch typically. But when the problem and the solution were real before the company was even started, and it was like easy to tell a friend about why you're going on double dates, it makes it so easy to tell a room full of people why you started a company for
Yeah.
double dates.
Yeah. And you mentioned not caring what others think. I think that's really important these days.
Yeah, I mean, it's also easier said than done, right?
Yes,
Like,
it
of
is
course we
easier
all,
said than
of
done.
course we all care what people think, and I would be just fully lying if I said I didn't. But I try really hard to like adopt the mentality of like, take me or leave me. This is exactly who I am.
Yeah.
And you can't be for everybody in anything in life, right? Like, I'm not going to be, I'm not for everybody in dating. I'm not for everybody in business. I'm not for everybody in friendship. Like, it's just, you're going to find the people that you gel with. I think another piece of advice that I would give is, and again, easier said than done because it's very nerve-wracking when you get up there, but people that have, note cards with them and are glancing down to look, to me, it makes it less personal. I feel like I can't connect with that speaker the same way. Again, easier said than done, but I think that you really have to know your numbers. You really have to know your business. You really have to know your problem solution, your why. And when you really know it, because you really believe in it and you're passionate about it, you don't need the note cards when you get up there.
Yeah.
And then you're able to better connect with the audience.
Yeah. And I think definitely practice makes perfect. Because you have to know it. It can't be like, you can't wing it every time you get up there.
Right.
And then each time you improve a little bit. And then before you know it, it's like you could do it in your sleep. That's kind of with my comedy routine. You just go, you hone a joke, right? You listen
Right.
to the feedback,
Right.
and then, the 50th or the 100th time you've done the routine, like when to pause.
Yeah.
It's really like next level. And that was why they say comedians are the best public speakers. So that's kind of why I started exploring. I don't think becoming a professional stand-up comedian is in the cards for me, but it has definitely improved my public speaking skills for sure. So on LinkedIn, I saw a couple named Mitch and Haley recently got engaged, and they met on Fourplay Social, correct?
Sure did.
Yes, that is very exciting. Any others? Do you any other stories about success stories that you want to share?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's funny because most people would define success in the dating industry as engagements, marriages, people starting a family. And so we have multiple definitions of success that don't necessarily just pertain to romantic outcomes,
Yes.
because I am not sure if we explained this earlier yet, but we really don't see ourselves at all as a dating app. We are definitely an app for people who might be dating, but we are a social app for singles. And so the emphasis for us is on having a really fun, safe, dynamic night out with your other friend who's also single. So success could be that you found romance and, there's an engagement, and that is fantastic. We are so excited about that. But we also have stories of our users becoming really good friends with their dates after. We actually personally have a success story. We became really good friends and like professional colleagues with these two guys we met on Fourplay, who then later helped us hire our VP of engineering. So they were also startup founders and they worked in tech. So yeah, we have all kinds of success stories, from romance to friendship to just bonding amongst friends.
I like that, having different definitions of success in a world that tries not to.
Yeah.
I think in America, there's really only one metric for success, pretty much. And it's money. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
What has been the biggest learnings you've both had during your foray into entrepreneurship?
You want to go first, Danielle?
Sure. Well, I have so many, but something I was thinking about recently, and Julie, you kind of said this a little bit with your pitch, like how you're not for everyone. That's what I've learned about startups. You cannot serve every audience. You cannot make every single person happy with the product or the brand or the offering. So you just have to find the audience that wants it and serve them. And we, like any other brand, we'll put out an ad and and in the comments section, somebody will just absolutely drag the brand and they will have a problem with whatever it is that we're offering. And over time, I have learned that we can't change things for that person. The people who are our users and the people who are our super users are clearly really satisfied with what we're doing. And we have to just find more of them and we have to serve them. And we have a lot of ideas about expanding the audience, about, future cohorts of who Fourplay could serve, but we have to just start with a niche and make them really, really happy with the product and keep them around, and create super fans out of them. And then once we build that base, we can expand, but we really need to start with just making one target audience happy.
Any books, podcasts, social media accounts, blogs, vlogs that you follow that kind of impacted you that you would recommend to a young woman who is maybe interested in breaking into the tech world, maybe interested in exploring entrepreneurship?
I think I have a few things that I follow. I think any gender really would be inspired by it. But I think everyone's inundated with newsletters. However, I do subscribe to one that I actually read, and I think he gives really great actionable advice. So I think Jason Pfeiffer's One Thing Better newsletter is fantastic. I really, really recommend that. He also has a book as well that I read that I would highly recommend. I just bought it for my friend for his birthday as a birthday present, who's entrepreneurial. The Cold Start Problem is another great book as well for people that are building, double-sided marketplaces and need to break through the cold start. But honestly, Danielle and I have had the success that we have had because we don't do things by the book.
Yes.
And so as much as I would suggest these things, and I do suggest them because there are things that I know that I don't know and I have to learn them somewhere, I would say also pave your own path and do things your way, and you'll have more success.
How can we ensure that more women are encouraged to pursue careers in the male-dominated world of tech and business?
That is quite the question.
It's a big question. Yeah.
I think they need
tough question.
I think they need to see more success stories. I think if women don't have examples of women in tech, successful women in tech, then they're less likely to pursue it. So I think they need to see more success stories. And then this all cascades into so then women need to get more funding so that they can be successful. So, I mean, you've heard it a million times. I don't think I'm saying anything necessarily novel, but I just think women need to be elevated so that there can be more examples for younger women to look up to. Julie, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I was naive. I don't know. I didn't think we would experience the type of sexism that we do experience as women entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Had no clue.
Yeah. It's kind of unbelievable to me still. I think I'm still in disbelief that this exists. You are told you ask a million chefs for their recipe, you're going to get a million recipes. I've been told lean into the female founder. So I leaned into the female founder. Then I was told stop calling yourself a female founder. So I stopped calling myself a female founder. I'm like, okay, I just can't win with everybody. So I'm just gonna be who I am.
You can never win with everybody.
No,
Yeah.
you cannot. I think that women need to just know going into it that you're going to experience and face sexism. If you're raising venture capital, less than 2% of venture capital goes to women entrepreneurs. I believe that's the statistic. It's extremely discouraging. But that's also what motivates me and Danielle, is that we're just going to prove everybody wrong. And so I think the most important quality that a founder can have is resilience. And so I would highly encourage people who are thinking about starting a company to make sure that they have a really strong support system in whatever version of that they need. And to just remember that you're going to be doubted more times than you're going to be told that you're going to succeed. And to use the no's and the negativity to fuel your fire to keep building.
I love it. I think we spoke about maybe giving away a I Love Fourplay t-shirt to any of my listeners.
Yes.
So where should they go if they're interested in an I Love Fourplay t-shirt?
Oh, I love this question. I think they should follow our Instagram.
Okay.
And so our Instagram is at Fourplay Social.
Okay.
FOURPLAY social, very commonly misspelled. And they can definitely like DM us and let us know that they listen to the podcast, and we'd be happy to give them a t-shirt.
All right. Sounds good. I do have a question that I typically ask my guests. If you could have a billboard that was overlooking Times Square, what would it say? But I already know what it would say. It would say, I love Fourplay. That's what it would say. Ladies, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast. Really excited to see how Fourplay Social grows, and couldn't be happier for your success. Really great meeting with both of you. And I hope to have you on again as a repeat guest of the podcast.
Oh, yeah. It was
Thank you so much.
wonderful. Thank you so much. And also, I'm excited to follow your
Definitely.
Yeah, your
and
journey.
for you.
Yeah.
I heard that we hitting that 42nd, let's go. I heard that we hitting that 34th, let's go. I heard that we hitting that 14th, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. What? I heard that we hitting that Union Square, let's go. I heard that we hitting that Howard